Podcast. Daniel Wilcox, Matt Trigger. On the heels of Justin Tucker being released by the Baltimore Ravens about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Daniel, what is going on, brother?
I think everything we thought was going on, Matt. I figured at some point the Ravens would have to make a decision about this whole Tucker situation, and unfortunately, Tucker is no longer a Baltimore Raven. I kind of felt like this was coming. I just felt I was surprised that he was still on the roster the entire offseason. Once this incident broke. But I didn't know. I don't know the facts of this case. I think the Ravens didn't know the facts of this case, but obviously they know something now, Matt. So they made a decision based off what they felt like the case was going to be moving forward. And in my mind, that can't be a good sign for Justin, man. I hate that.
Yeah, it's weird how it went down because for the longest time, um, we thought that he was going to at least stick around for another year, even with them
I
drafting a
didn't.
kicker.
I didn't. I didn't think that.
I mean, if the thing is, they,
When
they
you
kept him
when
on
you
the
said
road.
we when you
I
said we,
mean,
you talking about all the Ravens fans.
yeah.
Okay.
I
All right.
mean,
My
yeah.
bad.
Um, but the biggest thing to
Yeah.
me though, Daniel was is that he stayed on the roster throughout the first part of free agency, through the draft, and
Hmm.
then 4 o'clock on a Monday afternoon in the early part of May, they give him the axe. So you have one of the rare experiences where you played for the organization and you worked for the organization in a front office capacity.
Yeah.
So outside looking in, to me, the league and the NFL and the investigators found some really terrible shit that just couldn't be ignored. Either validity to all 16 or there's more that we don't know about that's going to be coming out. So if you had to take a professional guess, what do you think it would be?
Um, I think the case probably some of the allegations that was addressed because it was over a dozen women that came out to approach him with this lawsuit. I think they probably found some true facts that he was highly inappropriate in whatever this scandal is about, and it looked like he was going to come out on the wrong end of this thing, not the high end, which is mean he's innocent. He probably was going to come out of this thing guilty, and the Ravens had to disassociate themselves from Justin Tucker because of it. I mean, everybody contract in the NFL has a small stipulation in that contract that says conduct detrimental to the team, and whatever his conduct was, it obviously was detrimental to the team, and they had to release him because of it. And I hate that. I hate that for him, man. He's probably one of the most prolific kickers in the history of the NFL, and he was a fan favorite, and he was a teammate favorite. I think his teammates love him, man. Like there was a lot of when I was there, I was in the locker room and got a chance to see him move around and stuff. Guys seemed to really enjoy his antics and his comedy relief and his personality. A lot of stuff he did was strange. It was kind of weird anyway,
Mm-hmm.
but people loved him for his weirdness, man, for the kind of guy that he was, Matt. And I really hate to see a player of his caliber go. He's meant so much to this organization, and he's meant so much to this fan base, and he's meant so much to the city of Baltimore. And helped us win games for a long time, man. He's probably one of the most consistent guys the Ravens have ever had in this franchise, and I hate to see the guy that's supposed to retire as a Raven end up in a situation like this. And I pray to God he doesn't end up in jail. I don't know what he did, Matt. And I can't defend what he did because I don't know any of the facts of this case. So I wouldn't go into depth until I hear more facts about it, about how I truly feel about it. Right now, this is just a fallen player, and he's a Baltimore Raven. And once a Raven, always a Raven. So we want to hold him down as best we can on our end. I don't know how this thing is going to pan out, but right now it doesn't feel good to me.
Yeah. As it stands right now, I know that you're with you being in Georgia, you don't get the local Baltimore news a whole lot.
Right.
You really what you get is mostly what I give you in terms of our day to day conversation.
Very
Um,
much so.
humble brag, I talk to you every day. Um, so
Real
um,
talk. Yeah.
yeah. To me, right now, as it stands, there's 16 accusers across 8 massage parlors in the Baltimore County area and the surrounding areas. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And I want to ask you this, though, from the player standpoint, and just you've been with this organization in some form or fashion for the majority of your adult life.
Right.
If he doesn't kick 73% and he's kicking 90%, is this a conversation?
I think it's a conversation regardless. I mean, at the end
It,
of the day, Tucker looks bad. The Ravens look bad. He when you have this on your chest, that's at the end of the day, that's all that matters. I mean, it's like the thing we was talking about with Shador last week, with the draft. They wanted to show him that no one man is bigger than the team, and this is the team. Ain't no one man bigger than the team. You can't be bigger than the organization. So something has to give, man. No matter what, Tucker has to do what's right by this organization. And when he was out there making these decisions, whatever the decisions were, it looked like he didn't take the Ravens into consideration and the Ravens fan base into consideration the way that he probably should have.
yeah, and it just seems like he is now paying for the sins of a previous lifetime because none of these allegations are within the last 8 years. He's been a model citizen up until this point. Family man, Royal Farms commercials, sponsorships, uh, face of the team. He's one of the most prolific scorers the Ravens have ever had on this team, and this team has had quite a few. And it's all coming crumbling down from stuff that happened 8 years ago. I'm not excusing what he did because it's disgusting if it is indeed true, but it leads me to believe that if he gets removed from this football team unceremoniously, and they've released that very wordy and well crafted statement
The
about this
Ravens,
being a football decision. If it was a
correct.
football decision, you cut him right after the season. Right when you're eligible to start cutting people, you cut them.
I
So
mean,
this they put a lot into this.
it's like breaking up with a girlfriend. I mean, it doesn't always happen right away. It's hard to formulate those words and those thoughts, to break up with somebody that you care about. And it's obvious the Ravens absolutely care about Justin Tucker. That's why it probably lasted as long as it did, and they wanted to wait until the most possible last second as they could to release him. I mean, Monday is like a national cut day in the NFL. Most guys get
Right.
released on Mondays, especially this time of the year in the off season. So Tuesday, of course, is your day off. They want to let you go on Monday, and then they'll bring in guys to try them out and work them out on a Tuesday. On a Tuesday, all day Tuesday, there'll be guys fly in and out of Baltimore, from other teams, other kickers, and all that stuff, working out every single day of the week. I mean, every single Tuesday for the rest of the season. It won't stop. So
Right.
I can understand kind of why they would wait, and be patient. Not necessarily used to seeing teams being this patient with players because normally there's no loyalty from the team side. It's only loyalty from the player side. So this was definitely the Ravens showing they have the ability to be loyal to their players, and they tried to hold on to Justin as long as they possibly could. I mean, I think we all knew something was coming, Matt, the way the season went last year. We all were sitting here scratching our heads trying to figure out what the heck is going on with Justin Tucker. And then when this thing hit in January, we all was like, oh, okay. Now
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. Dude has some serious heavy weight on his mind the entire season. And I think this is enough to kind of throw anybody off kilter mentally. And even when we had Stover on and we was talking to Stover when we was doing the other podcast, Stover said the exact same thing. Stover was like, man, he's dealing with some stuff mentally. Of course, his age, and all that type of stuff, but it's a mechanical thing. And a lot of times your mind will throw off your mechanics because having that muscle memory and being able to rep things over and over and over again is what makes us so prolific as players. And Justin Tucker did that just about as good as anybody in this league. And whatever it is, my mom always said, man, whatever you do in the dark will come to the light. And this is one of those situations that everything that he's done in the dark is starting to come to the light. And I mean, you can't run from the things that you think are going to be covered all the time. And I hate saying that, bro, because I really do think he's a good guy. He might have made some bad decisions. Obviously, he made a lot of them with this whole situation. But to me, all this says that the guy really likes variety. I can't really I can't really tell what the situation is right now, Matt. I can't. Honestly, I can't. I don't really know what the true situation is. By it being 16 different women, 8 different parlors, it just means he like variety. That's all it tell. That's all it means to me. Like, this whole thing. When we went through this entire thing with Deshaun Watson, right? With the Houston Texans, about a year or two ago, about 2 or 3 years ago. Even then, I was trying to figure out like what's going on. Are they forcing somebody to do something, or are they offering money for somebody to do something? Like what's the really, what's the real details to it? And I guess until you know the real details, it's kind of
Right.
hard to
Right.
make a real decision about whether or not he was right or wrong. If you're offering somebody something and then they accept it and then they actually do something for the money that you're offering them, I mean, I don't know who's wrong in that case. So I mean, it's like smoking weed. In some states it's legal, some states it's not. So if I smoke it in a state that's not, I'm wrong for smoking it in that state. But another state is legal.
I
So
mean, that's true.
I don't
I
know.
Do you think them drafting Tyler Loop and having him in the building already
Hmm.
with the rest of the rookies, do you think that played a part where Loop has been in the building every single day since he's been drafted, and they didn't want to have this whole situation with Tucker looming while on the roster still? Do you think it was just kind of one of those situations where, I mean, obviously the off the field stuff is the catalyst to it, but now
Yeah.
you have, if you take the off the field stuff away from the equation altogether and you look at solely on field, 10 years ago Justin Tucker had a 98% completion percentage for the season. He was 37 to 38 in 2016,
Yeah.
and then he maintained anywhere from an 88 to a 92%, 94% completion percentage on his
Yeah.
kicks and his field goals for the majority of his career. And then he has that one year where if he falls off a cliff, and I don't want to compare apples to oranges for
Yeah.
the off the field stuff, but this happened to Ray Rice in 2013. Ray was a Super Bowl champion on the 2012 team.
Hmm.
He was an all world, gadget player. He was a running back. He was a receiver. He was a blocker. He did everything right.
Right.
And the yards per touch was around 6 yards. And then 2013 hits. He averages 3.8 a carry. Then the tape leaks. And all of a sudden, it's an unceremonious cut.
Yeah.
And it's coming off of a year where he was at the top of his game, got an extension, and then he fell off the proverbial cliff. And that's the same thing with Justin Tucker. I'm pulling the stats up right now. I had them ready. 2023, Justin Tucker completed 87% of his kicks.
Right.
And then he has a drop off of 14%. And every kick that he missed, if you add them all up, that is the exact amount of points that we lost by the entire regular season.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So it's almost like, would this organization have cut either one of these guys if if there was no evidence of any off field wrongdoing and it was just murmurs and chirping and
Yeah.
innuendo off the field, but
I don't
with
think so.
you know it's it I hate the fact that we love Justin Tucker the player, but now Justin Tucker the person is forever tainted to this entire fan base.
Yeah.
And let me just speak freely about it, Daniel. He's not going to get vindicated. If he's vindicated, he's still on this football team. So to me, unless 16 people lied at 8 different businesses, it looks the way it is. Because
Right.
even with this off year, I feel like they would have given him a year to redeem himself before they cut bait. I feel like we would have been talking about this a year from right now, and not necessarily this point. Because he's a Hall of Fame kicker. There's no kickers in the Hall of Fame. He might have been the first, but now with this is a very unceremonious release.
Very true, man. I agree with you 100%, Matt. Like the Ray Rice thing, yeah, it hurt to the heart. To see the tape hurt even more. And when you do these things, it's no different from the Diddy case too. Like a lot of the stuff that was coming out about Puff Daddy, like nobody really believed that. Sean Combs, nobody believed that stuff. But once you saw that tape with him kicking Cassie and dragging her down the hallway, It was like, bro, you got to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, this got to stop. And it's a very frustrating thing to have to deal with, to know that somebody you truly care about and somebody that you have grown so fond of, to see them hurt the way that they hurt. Because these guys, I mean, come on, man. Like, you weren't expecting this to happen with Justin Tucker.
No,
Like, it's like, a lot of times we say it's a thing in the black community. We say, man, it be your own people. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, it be your own people that
I get it.
disappoint you. And to me, Tucker is like he's our own people. Like, he's somebody that we care about, somebody that we've grown to love, somebody that we've grown to respect. And he's done a ton of stuff in the community in the city of Baltimore. And, he's he represents the Ravens, that mascot, about as good as anybody does. And then, you turn around and this type of stuff happen, and we ain't nobody perfect in this world. So we can't pretend to sit here and pretend like we are by far either.
Right.
So we're not here to judge anyone. But at the end of the day, the man made a mistake, and whatever that mistake is, we're gonna find out what it is pretty soon, I'm assuming. And the Ravens must have already got wind of exactly what that is that he's done to cause this situation to go the way that it did. The tape comes out, and the tape is proof. It's 100% proof what you might have been thinking was true is true. So if they got anything in regards to that, it's going to be an issue. Just like the Shannon Sharp situation. Everybody was like, oh man, again, somebody else is messing with Shannon. And then all of a sudden you hear the recording and you're like, Shannon, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so it's one of those things, man, where the man he's a husband, he's a father, he got kids. His career may be over at this point. And at the end of the day, the NFL has to start making examples out of guys, and you got to figure out how you're going to prove a point. The whole Deshaun Watson thing, I see, Be More Like Jay was saying that Deshaun Watson thing was a setup. And I don't think it was a setup at all, because he was still in Houston when the whole thing broke. He wasn't leaving Houston at that time. The whole
Yeah.
deal with him leaving Houston to come to Cleveland, that happened like almost a year after the whole thing happened, or came out, so he was going through this case for a while before he decided to get up out of Houston. And at that point, Be More Like Jay, I would have got the hell out of town too. Like, I don't want to be here no more. Everybody looking at me sideways, everybody side-eyeing me. I'm trying to get somewhere I can get a fresh start too. And even when you get cut as a player without having any of these allegations, it's embarrassing, man. Like, you just got fired and the whole world knows you got fired. So on top of all the stuff that Justin has going on, now everybody know he's getting fired because he just lost his job,
Right.
threw his entire career in the trash can, and it doesn't feel good for him, man. It doesn't feel good for his wife, and it won't look good for his kids either. Because us as parents, sometimes we don't think before we speak, and we say things around our kids. None of the kids go to school saying something to his kids. Man, it just ain't right, bro. You got to look at the bigger picture in this whole thing. So I don't want to see nobody suffer the way that I know Tucker is suffering right now. At the same time, I do not know what Tucker has done. All right, put it up there. I'm putting both of my hands up. I do not know what he's done, and I hate to see anybody lose their job, for whatever the reason may be. I care about the dude. I want to see him win. I want to see him be successful. Had a tough year last year. He struggled all year long. And now this is the end result of the whole magnitude. And Matt, you were saying earlier about the kicker we just drafted. To be honest with you, I feel like we drafted him because we knew this was coming. Otherwise we wouldn't have made movement in order to get him drafted. Once he
That's a
came
good
in,
point.
once he came into this locker room, I think they had to make a decision like whether or not you even want Tucker around this guy at that point. You know what I mean? Like,
That makes sense because, to be fair, the Ravens have never drafted a kicker. They've drafted punters. They've never drafted a place kicker
right.
in any draft in their 30-year history. So it makes a ton of sense when you put it that way, because there's never been a precedent set, and that was it. And the Ravens are not a dumb organization by any
They're not.
means. You know
By
that
far.
firsthand.
Oh yeah.
And
100%.
if they had an idea of what's coming down the road in a day or even a week or a month, however long the NFL decides to hold on to the findings of this investigation, it was bad enough that they didn't even hold a press conference. They didn't even tell them goodbye. They didn't let the fans tune in live.
Yeah,
it
this
was
ain't one
bad.
of those moments.
Right. That's what I'm saying though.
Yeah,
There,
you right.
yeah, like it came across my phone 4 o'clock on Monday afternoon.
Correct.
And like I know you as a player and as a coach or as a front office guy. Monday's a cut day, but there's nothing going on right now. Rookies already went home,
Yeah,
and it was just it's sad to see that this is how it goes down because he won a lot of ball games for this club.
he did.
He set the record for the longest field goal ever made.
Hmm.
He did a lot for the community. He was a very visible Raven for a long time, and
Absolutely.
it just so happens that the worst professional year of his career coincided with potentially his private life going kaboom.
Yeah.
And it's really it's sad because you don't want to see it to happen. You don't want to see that happen to anybody. But if it's true what he did, there's atonement, of course,
But
and
what did he do? What did they say he did, Matt? Do you know?
there to 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 pretty much summarize, he had a problem with boundaries when it came to getting massages from female massage therapists at multiple different locations. A couple claimed that he would get erect while they were massaging him, and he would purposely roll over at that point. He would, for lack of a better term, jerk off on the table and leave the kids all over the place. You know what I'm saying? So I know you're keeping a straight face right now, but this shit has been in the media for the last 4 months, for the better part, and a lot of massage therapists came forward. It's been validated by a lot of um, law enforcement, off record, stating that he's been an utter handful, no pun intended,
Yeah.
for those years where he was just a wild dude.
Yeah. Man, this has been a weird ass off season, man. The Steve Smith allegations earlier on in the summer.
Yeah,
While I was over in Greece and Portugal with the team, and then the Shannon Sharp situation. Now the Justin Tucker stuff is finally coming to a head. It's just been a long off season, man. It's almost been exhausting, man. Like
yeah,
it's been extremely exhausting off season for the Baltimore Ravens. I know we just want to hear something good right now. If you're in their front office of the Baltimore Ravens, like man, why can't our guys just act right? Shannon's retired, Steve Smith's retired, Tucker's the only one that's on the team with bad news. But all these people, like once a Raven, always a Raven. All these players are attached to the complex, to the facilities, to the organization forever. So you hate to see that anybody, because as soon as they show these clips or anybody doing anything wrong, they start showing highlight tapes and they start showing clips, and they always got on the Ravens uniform, and I hate that for us, man. I really do. This is such a phenomenal organization, to me by far the best organization in the history of football, and they have done a phenomenal job from day one. I take my hat off to Steve Bisciotti and company and everybody all the way down, man. They have made this place probably one of the most honorable franchises in the history of the NFL by the way they maneuver and how they recruit and how I told you I feel like they don't go out to scout guys. They actually look for it's almost like a casting call, like they're planning for a movie, and then they go out to find guys that fit the best characters that actually fit in those positions, that's going to bring the right personalities into this locker room. And Tucker for a long time was the right personality. We didn't know that he was Batman and Robin, you know.
right.
So here we go.
Yeah, it's just it's an unfortunate end to an otherwise prolific kicking career, and kickers have longevity as opposed to you guys that play positions of physical contact.
Yeah.
Um, you know, we've seen guys like Vinatieri and Morton Anderson hang around for almost 30 years, so it
Hmm.
can be done. But 15, 14 years in, it seems like it's a wrap for Tuck. And
Yeah.
do you believe that he finds another home, or do you think that this is it for him?
I think this is it. I can't see another team bringing him in with this type of stuff. And as I'm saying that, Matt, I mean, Deshaun Watson is playing for the Cleveland Browns, right? So I don't know how similar these two cases are, but if they are very similar, if they're very right there together, then I mean, if it's the same as what Deshaun Watson did, which I don't know the details or the facts of that either, I just know it's similar situations because it's a massage therapist involved. If it's the same similar situation, then Tucker be playing somewhere this year, this season,
Yeah.
or as soon as this case is officially over with, assuming he doesn't get arrested for whatever it is that he did. I have no idea.
Yeah, there's no criminal charges that are linked to it. It's more along the lines of civil.
Yeah,
So
that's a blessing.
I'm sure he's gonna be kicking out some bread. I mean, I know he's made plenty of money in his career, more so than most kickers have in their lifetime twice over. But yeah, it's crazy that we just got on screen last week. We caught up with everybody and got the We Bleed Purple show rolling, and here we are 4 nights later, and it's not a good thing when we're just popping up like, hey, we didn't even this wasn't even we didn't promote it, we didn't announce it, we didn't anything. So
Yeah,
it it needed to be covered, but before we go, Daniel,
yeah.
you and I talked on my ride home from work today on the phone, and the Baltimore Ravens issued number 83 to LeJontay Wester.
It's a
How do
good
you
number,
feel
kid.
about that?
I love it, man. That's a great number. First and foremost, 83 is one of the dopest numbers in the history of the Baltimore Ravens franchise. Okay, all right, it's a great number, Matt. But I mean, when I think about the number 83, the reason why I ended up with 83 in the first place, it was Brian Billick idea. I came in, I was coming from NFL Europe. I wore 45 in Germany. I was trying to get 45 when I got there, but Lamont Brightful had
Yeah,
45. So I didn't, I wasn't going. I'm not the guy that has kind of have your jersey and all that type of stuff. I
yeah.
mean, I'm trying to make a damn team. Last thing I wanted to do is be trying to act like a jersey number is important.
Hmm.
I said, man, give me the next 40 number you got. So they gave me 44, which Marlon Humphreys is wearing now.
Yeah.
So I wore 44 that whole first year, or all through camp, and then at the time 83 was what's my guy, my receiver that was in the Super Bowl with the Ravens the first time.
Ron Johnson.
Super fast. Not Ron. Ron. I don't think Ron was on the team. Dang, I can't remember his name right now. But he was wearing 83 at the time, and they released him. And they released him. Billick was like, "Hey man," he said, I know you're playing H back and you're playing tight end, and I just can't see you going out on routes and stuff wearing 44. Can you change that number to an 80 number, man? Like, and he was kind of messing with me a little bit, kind of
Hmm.
fooling with me on the practice field. I was like, hey, I don't care what number I get. Just get me in the damn game. Let me catch a ball. Let me do whatever. I just want to play football. I don't care what number I get. And they changed my number to 83. And it grew on me, man. It grew on me. I felt like, me and my wife got married and we went to Hawaii and it was 83 degrees the entire time. I was like, man, this is perfect weather. It's not too hot. It's not cold. You can get a tan if you want to get a tan. You can get in the water if you want to get in the water. It won't be freezing. I was like, 83 degrees, all right, the perfect weather. It's the perfect weather. So to see LeJontay Webster get it, Wester. I'm sorry,
Wester.
Wester
Yeah,
get it. LeJontay Wester get it from Colorado. I love that kid, man. I watched them play. I watched a lot of those Colorado games
we
because of
watched
Dion.
every
Being
one of them last year. I
yeah,
remember we talked about it a lot.
right. Because Dion is like my former teammate. And I really enjoyed playing with Prime, man. I really did. So I've been on his kids, Shiloh and Shador, since they was like 3, 4, 5 years old. So to kind of see them grow up the way they did, and everybody hating on them as much as they was hating on them. I wanted to watch and support them as much as possible from afar. So I watched Shador play, and I watched these guys. And number 10 came in last year, transferred from another school, and just had a phenomenal year. Mind you, he had a phenomenal year before he came to Colorado.
Right.
But when he transferred in, he was just another weapon for Shador to be able to get the ball to. And every time, you look for somebody to make a play, it was either Travis Hunter or that kid or the Will Shepherd kid, and or five, Horn, So to kind of see him get a chance, to come to the Baltimore Ravens, for us to be able to get one of those guys, I feel like it's saying a lot. Dion has poured a lot into all these young men. He's going to be a guy to me that's going to be, I think, a true example of what a pro should be. And I think he's going to carry himself the right way. He's going to move the right way. He's going to work his ass off every single day. And no matter what we throw at him work ethic wise, he's going to be prepared for it. So I think he was a hell of a pickup. I think he was a hell of a pick for us. And I think they couldn't have gave him a better number.
Okay. So I wanted to bring up somebody else real quick that the Ravens signed. He's not officially on the 90-man roster, but he was a rookie camp invite. I called you and told you about him earlier. Nebraska defensive tackle Nash Hutmacher, who is an all-world collegiate wrestler. The dude looks exactly like one of your old teammates, Kelly Gregg. Same build, same same type of movements. This kid's highlight tape, he throws around guards like it's nothing. And he was wearing 68 at the pro camp this weekend. So
Okay.
he might be one to keep your eye on for everybody that's tuned in right now. Nash Hutmacher, he's a
Hutmacher.
yeah, stocky white guy, number 68.
That sounds
Um,
like a Nebraska kid, Matt.
yeah,
You
he
say
was
Nat
in yeah,
Hutmacher?
Nash Hutmacher. Yeah,
Nash Hutmacher.
yeah, and
That's a hell of a name.
in his collegiate wrestling career, he was 43-0, and 30 of his wins came in under 30 seconds. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so this guy is
He the real deal.
another wrestler. Tyler Lindenbaum was an excellent wrestler while he was at Iowa. So
Hmm.
those wrestlers make good interior linemen. But that'll do it for this episode of We Bleed Purple podcast. We'll be back whenever the Ravens have more news,
Which is tomorrow, I'm sure. It'll
which
be
will
tomorrow.
hopefully not be anything catastrophic. But
Yeah.
that'll do it. You can find Daniel on X at Coach Wilcox. You can find me there at mtrig WBP, and you can find us on Facebook. That'll do it, folks. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a pleasure giving you the latest bit of Ravens news.
Hey, the second episode, the whole episode on Justin Tucker. That's pretty dope.
Yes, and it was our first episode live on our YouTube channel. So this
Absolutely.
this was our first live on YouTube,
Love it.
and we'll see you guys again soon.
All right, guys. Have a good night.